Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty King Abdullah discussed with Saudi Arabia's King Salman bin Abdulaziz solid relations, Jerusalem and regional developments. The two monarchs underlined the need to maintain consultation and coordination between the two countries towards various issues of common interest. King Abdullah reaffirmed the need to coordinate the Arab position, pool efforts and communicate with the international community over the ramifications of the U.S. decision over Jerusalem on the region's security and stability and peace efforts. Talks also dealt with the situation in Syria and Iraq and the crises the region is witnessing, as well as efforts to find political solutions to them. King Abdullah also discussed Jerusalem, regional and international developments with Saudi Crown Prince, First Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Mohammed bin Salman in the presence of Crown Prince Hussein. Earlier, His Royal Highness Prince Ali bin al-Hussein was sworn in as regent in the presence of cabinet members. Following his visit to Saudi Arabia, the King will depart for Istanbul tomorrow to lead Jordan's delegation to the extraordinary summit meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The meeting will discuss developments over Jerusalem. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Ayman Safadi discussed the repercussions of the U.S. decision over Jerusalem with U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Safadi briefed Tillerson over the phone on the outcome of the Arab foreign ministers' meeting in Cairo that addressed means to deal with the repercussions of the U.S. decision and called on the United States to rescind its decision. Safadi also reviewed over the phone the consequences of the U.S. decision with the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and the foreign ministers of Germany, France, Britain and Japan. On the ground in the Palestinian lands, clashes continued between Palestinians and occupation forces as anger mounted over the United States' recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. In Ramallah, troops fired tear gas to disperse the crowds protesting against the U.S. policy. Since the announcement made by U.S. President Donald Trump and plans to transfer the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, Palestinians have observed days of rage to express rejection of this move. And in the West Bank town of Bethlehem, clashes also erupted between Palestinians protesting against the U.S. policy and Israeli troops. A Christmas tree adorned with lights outside Bethlehem's Church of the Nativity and another in Ramallah were switched off the day of Trump's announcement in protest. To Syria, UN-sponsored peace talks continued in Geneva as the Syrian government delegation led by Ambassador Bashar Jafari and UN Syria envoy Staffan de Mistura held another bilateral meeting after they returned yesterday to the negotiating table. The Syrian opposition delegation is also expected to hold a similar bilateral meeting with de Mistura. The talks are scheduled to last until the 15th, after which the UN mediator will assess whether any of the delegations is trying to sabotage the Geneva political process. And Russia said it will keep a naval and air base in Syria capable of carrying out strikes against insurgents if required after a partial military pullout was announced by President Vladimir Putin yesterday. The pullout began with a battalion of Russian military police arriving at Russia's Makhachkala airport. 2 Russian Air Force planes were greeted by local residents and officials as well as relatives. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the battalion was securing implementation of the ceasefire agreement in Syria, as well as providing security for local residents and humanitarian convoys. In international news and at the One Planet Summit in Paris, French President Emmanuel Macron delivered a bleak assessment on the global fight against climate change. He told dozens of world leaders and company executives that the world was losing the battle. Macron is seeking to breathe new life into a collective effort that was weakened this summer when President Donald Trump said he was pulling the United States out of an international accord brokered in Paris 2 years ago. The French president said modern-day science was revealing with each day that a danger that global warming posed to the planet. The World Bank, meanwhile, announced it will no longer finance upstream oil and gas projects after 2019, apart from certain gas projects in the poorest countries in exceptional circumstances. Greenpeace welcomed the move.
Dans 50, 60 ou 100 ans, il y en a 5, 10, 15 qui...
And back here at home, winners of the Ernst & Young Jordan's Entrepreneur of the Year Awards were announced last night at their annual ceremony. Deputizing for His Majesty Royal Court Chief Faiz Tarawni handed out the 2017 awards. Osama Ali and Omar Ali of Petra Engineering Industries Company took the Entrepreneur of the Year Award, which recognizes established business luminaries for their consistent success over several years. They will go on to represent Jordan at the globally renowned EY World Entrepreneur of the Year Award in Monte Carlo in June next year. Winner of the Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year Award, meanwhile, was Hussam Hammo of Tamatem Incorporation. The award highlights achievements of those who have established exceptional startups. Also revealed were winners of the Student Entrepreneur of the Year category that is designed to stimulate innovation and leadership among youth. And finally, for a quick look at the weather, a slight drop in temperature is expected tomorrow, creating relatively cold conditions in many regions. Amman can expect a high of 18 degrees Celsius and a low of 8 degrees, while in the Gulf of Aqaba, relatively warm conditions prevail, with a high of 27 degrees sliding down to 13 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Alia Tuqan. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.